All right, folks, let's get into the crime news for today. Welcome back to Crime Wire Weekly. And in Iowa, Santa is facing a Louisiana extradition on 6 felony charges. I bet you never thought we'd start out the topics that way.
Negative. I don't know why Santa was in Iowa and not up at the poll anyway, because he had work to do.
Well, we're going to tell you all about it. In New Orleans, a teen has racked up 49 ankle monitor violations in 83 days.
Of course he did.
That's right. And, you know, we've been on kind of a tear with these ankle monitors lately, so we're going to expound on that. The killer in Hell on Wheels, a podcast by Exposed that you can go check out right now, actually laughs at her new prison nickname that she has. So we're going to discuss that very interesting story there. Of course, that's a trending story all over the internet right now with that girl. Yep. Louisiana, we're going to go back there and we're going to talk about a man with a lengthy criminal record being charged with rape recently in Baton Rouge.
It's almost like criminals keep committing crimes.
Yeah. And we're going to talk about some solutions there. In Wisconsin, a man opens up fire on his hunting buddies. Yeah, you should never do that. And he mixed whiskey with it, which is probably a lot of the reason. Yeah. We'll talk about some solutions there. In Arizona, a man breaks into a morgue, and you're just not going to believe what he did. We're not even going to tell you.
You can guess it without us even saying it.
Yeah. Well, in the True Crime Time Machine, we're going to go back and we're going to talk about the death of Phil Hartman, which occurred this day many years ago. In Utah, a father is accused of abducting 2 children and then fleeing to Mexico. Wild story.
And that's a mother's worst fear, I would think, right there.
Yeah, he's still on the loose too, so we're going to cover that. The strangest accidental shooting you will ever hear occurred in Nebraska.
Listen, we can take wagers right now. Nobody listening, nobody will be able to guess who was involved in that shooting right now. Just think of your wildest story right now, and I bet you're not going to guess it.
Yeah, well, we're going to tell you coming up soon in this one. $9.3 million in cocaine has been found hidden in Kim Kardashian's underwear.
Listen, I knew I left it somewhere.
Look, you can, in her underwear, you could probably hide $9.3 million.
She got room in that bag.
Yeah. Well, we'll talk about that too. Of course, we got overtime coming up after that on the Patreon channel. But we'll get into today's story, and we're going to start out I guess we're starting out in Iowa via Louisiana, I guess you could say, where a 73-year-old Ames man, widely known as Santa Ames, for his longtime role in portraying Santa Claus, is facing extradition to Louisiana after a Story County judge. And that's a hell of a county to live in when you're Santa Claus.
I know,
you live in Story County. That judge ruled that he is the same person named in a multi-count felony warrant out of St. Gabriel, Louisiana, which is only about, I guess, 30 minutes from where we record right here. Yeah. His name is David Grulich, and he's been held inside of that Story County jail since his arrest on April 26th. 2026 on a fugitive from justice charge. He's listed as the official contact for the Iowa chapter of the International Brotherhood of Real Bearded Santas.
I had no idea that's a thing.
Yeah. And he operates a website promoting more than 20 years of experience as a trusted community Santa. According to the St. Gabriel Police Department, Grulich is charged with 6 felonies in connection with the alleged theft of approximately $37,000 from a Louisiana woman's retirement account. The charges in detail are theft over $25,000, identity theft, access device fraud over $25,000, monetary instrument abuse, bank fraud, and money laundering. So it tells me there he's stolen her identity and got a debit card or something and has been withdrawing money or credit cards or something of that nature.
Allegedly.
The alleged offenses occurred on October 4th and November 4th of 2025. Police say the stolen funds were traced to an account in Ames, and investigators identified Grulich as the suspect after contacting the involved bank. St. Gabriel Police Chief Kevin Ambo said officers built a very strong case before seeking that warrant. quote, we were able to gain evidence that he took part in the crime and how much he was going to get paid. I'm not making any mistake arresting Santa. We did our homework. So Grolick has maintained his innocence. He told authorities he's never visited Louisiana, doesn't know anyone in the state. Court records, however...
Wait a second. He's never visited Louisiana. Right now, children, if you are listening, that is a lie. And this is not obviously the real Santa, because the real Santa has been to every state.
There you go.
All of them.
All the states and around the world. Court records, however, show the Louisiana warrant includes matching details, his full name, his address, his birth year, and his photograph. A Story County judge did confirm the identity match, and that cleared way for the extradition proceedings. And of course, if you're watching this on the Patreon, you can see the dude really looks like Santa Claus. I mean,
yeah,
it's shocking the resemblance there. So,
well, listen,
Santa's in a little bit of trouble.
He's in a lot of trouble. And first of all, I was looking up. I was very interested in this IBRBS that he's part of, the Santa Claus thing. Mm-hmm. Did you know that there is a Santa Claus oath?
Yes.
What is it?
I don't know the oath. I didn't memorize it, but I looked up the same thing you did.
Oh, you did?
I did. I did not know prior to today, or yesterday, rather.
I shall be dedicated to hearing the secret dreams of both children and adults. I understand that the true and only gift I can give as Santa is myself. Blah, 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 blah. It goes on and on and on. Well, Santa Claus can't be stealing
he can give
on
that
the side.
and stolen credit cards, apparently.
Apparently so. But, teachers need a raise, and Santa Claus is acting like he isn't making enough doing what he does. It's supposed to be from your heart, Santa. Don't be stealing from people.
Right.
Frowned upon.
Yeah. Crazy. Yeah. $25,000, nothing to sneeze at either. That's a lot of money.
I wonder if this is someone that he knows or is related to or something like that. We'll see, I guess. It'll come out.
Yeah.
I was going to wear my glasses, y'all, but I took them off because I don't. This is something that doesn't even need me to look that close. This is wild. New Orleans. We're all familiar with New Orleans, right? High crime area, lots of fun and carnival, but also lots of problems there. And a 19-year-old man that is living there has racked up 49 violations of his court-ordered ankle monitor over an 83-day period. So what's that? Like one every day?
Every other day,
I mean,
almost.
Yeah. So he got 49 violations over 83 days before he was arrested following a SWAT standoff in the city's 9th Ward. Jamarian Banks was taken into custody after barricading himself inside of a home with at least one juvenile. The New Orleans police were able to track him down using the signal from the electronic monitoring device during an investigation into a string of armed carjackings, which were targeting rideshare drivers. So according to the police, Banks and these 3 other juveniles allegedly carried out multiple rideshare related carjackings. The group would order a ride through these popular rideshare apps, and then whenever the driver would pull up, they'd pull guns on them and then steal their car instead of getting in and taking a ride. So he's facing multiple counts of armed robbery, carjacking, contributing to the delinquency of juveniles, and additional offenses tied to the standoff. Now, this is the deal. He was originally arrested in December of 2025 on charges related to illegal possession of stolen property. Then in February of 26, the Orleans Parish Criminal District Judge Tracy Flemings de Villiers, I believe is how you would say that, but this judge released him on an electronic monitoring device with the condition that he attend school. Well, the records that were obtained by this WWL Louisiana, they show that Banks violated the terms of his release 49 times over the next 83 days, and many of the violations were on consecutive days or multiple times in a single day. So the CEO of Assured Supervision Accountability Program, his name is Matt Dennis, that was the company that was supposed to be monitoring Banks, and he said that his firm reported all of these violations to the court and to the Orleans Parish District Attorney's Office, but the DA's office has stated that they have no record of receiving any such notifications. So it's cases like this that are drawing sharp criticism from Louisiana's Attorney General Liz Murrill, and she said, this is a direct quote, it acutely illustrates the unnecessary and indefensible danger posed to law enforcement and the public by the failure to hold individuals accountable for violating the terms of release on an ankle monitor. So during that Wednesday standoff, officers did recover a gun at the scene, A second juvenile, get this, wearing an ankle monitor as well, was also taken into custody. And this incident has now renewed debate over the use and the enforcement of electronic monitoring in Orleans Parish, but the court officials have not commented publicly on this case.
Yeah, so this is obviously not just a problem in Orleans Parish. It's a problem in the entire state of Louisiana, probably a problem nationwide. Couple of issues I have with this. First, ankle monitors, the spirit of ankle monitors, I think has gotten so twisted since they've been introduced. Number one, ankle monitors to me should be something for someone that gets arrested for a drug charge, something like that.
Like
maybe they got
non-violent?
caught. Any non-violent offense, put them on an ankle monitor and, hey, you got to return to court. They're giving these, in this case, this guy, armed robbery. I mean, armed robbery. They're freaking stealing cars from drivers of Lyft and drivers of these rideshare services. That is not ankle monitor worthy in my view. I think that there's one way to fix this. You pass a law that makes any type of number one, any type of violation of an ankle monitor automatic revocation of bond, and you're going to sit in jail until your trial period, no exceptions. And if you are charged with a violent offense of any sort, you don't get the ankle monitor option. I know there's an argument there for everybody's entitled to a bond, and I get that. And yes, there are a small percentage of cases where somebody didn't actually do something and they get charged with it. I understand that. So I don't know what the answer is as far as the reason these violent offenders are still getting ankle monitors is because if they get a bond, at least you can track them with an ankle monitor. Whereas if they get a bond and you don't track them, it's actually worse. But I don't know, man. I don't think the whole ankle monitor thing is working anymore. You've got problems not only from people just not following the restrictions that are placed on them with these ankle monitors, but you've also got problems with the companies actually monitoring the ankle monitors not doing what they're supposed to do.
Yeah. So look, I don't know who's telling the truth. They're saying they sent it. The DA's office is saying they didn't get it. Maybe it's both. Okay. I'll give them both some grace there. But this is the thing. How in the hell are you going to take someone who at 19 years old is already completely out of pocket, doing things that I would never imagine doing? At 19 years old, thinks it's appropriate to pull weapons on people, pull guns, and is also fraternizing with other people who are on ankle monitors, which means they can't even pick the right friends to hang out with either. This, I think, was bad judgment. And we've got to go back to the drawing board with these ankle monitors, because it seems like they're just using it as a way to go find the person, like a dog with a what is it when you get microchipped or something, like just so we can know where you are when we need to find you, more than I assume that an ankle monitor is going to be something that's supposed to inherently keep the person in line, right? Because we can check you, we can see what you're doing, so you should stay in line because of the ankle monitor. This guy doesn't care. This guy does not care.
No, it's apparent.
I mean, what more? Tell me, what do you think is going on here? And when did I know I'm just kind of belaboring the point here, but when did we think that someone who is capable of such violence deserves to be out running around because they have an ankle monitor? That doesn't stop anything.
Well, I agree. And, it's in this country, that's the big issue is, look, everybody's entitled to a bond. And unfortunately, except extreme cases where they're flight risk and things like that. But, it sure creates a problem. I don't know what the answer is, because I can see an ankle monitor being slapped on someone that, hey, they're bonding out anyway. So it's better to have an ankle monitor than nothing at all.
But are they? Because we don't know what the bond was set at. Maybe he wouldn't have been out. We don't know if they could have afforded.
Well, he would have had to bond out of jail once he was arrested and get an ankle monitor.
If he could afford it.
He obviously could. He did. He got the ankle monitor after he was bonded out. Not before his arrest. He gets arrested and then he bonds out and gets an ankle monitor pending court.
I thought it just says that the judge released him on electronic monitoring. So I don't know.
But you still have to bond out, right?
Well,
I mean, he may not have paid a cash bond. I don't know how that worked, but I couldn't imagine the boy didn't. You're charged with armed robbery and you don't have a bond amount?
I almost understood. Look, we obviously don't have all the information in front of us, but I almost understood this as because she felt like he was originally when he was a juvenile, because he's 19 now. I don't know when those first charges were. I don't know how. I don't know, so I can't even guesstimate on here. But I mean, he could have sat his ass in jail until court date. And that would have
could have, but the problem is, that's not our system, and I think the system needs some things need to be changed, because I mean, people get charged with murder. You have a right to a bond. You get charged with a rape.
I'm not saying no bond, but we can revoke bond if we feel that the person is dangerous enough. Then he goes out and he's putting guns in people.
Risk.
Yeah, and he's putting guns in people's faces. So I think he qualifies as someone who you can just sit your ass right here.
That would be my solution to that. Is I think that you need to take some serious steps when it comes to the first time you violate that ankle monitor in any way or the terms of your bond. You don't get a second chance. Now you're in jail until your trial.
Right, because in 2025, he was in possession of stolen property. That's not a violent crime. It's aggravating, but that's not violent. And so it was 2 months later that the judge released him with the electronic monitor. So maybe we need to back up what we're saying here. So it wasn't a violent crime that he was in for, but then he got out and then started doing, or at least getting caught at that point for these very violent crimes.
Armed robbery.
Yeah. So, I guess looking at it that way, okay, I understand the judge says you were in possession of just stolen property. That's why you're getting the monitor. But at this point, FAFO, baby. You're too stupid to follow the rules while you're being monitored. Good God. I hate to see what you're doing when you're not being monitored.
Yeah. So let's go to Ohio, and we're going to talk about Shirilla the Killer.
Shirilla the Killer.
That is Makenzie Shirilla, who openly laughed and bragged about her dark prison nickname, Shirilla the Killer. This was shortly after beginning a romantic relationship with another inmate at the Ohio Reformatory for Women. Now, of course, Makenzie Shirilla, right now, huge documentary on Netflix, discussing her case, which has raised a lot of interesting questions, and people have differing opinions on maybe what caused that car wreck that killed two friends of hers, and nearly killed her. So Cheyenne Topping, she is the girlfriend, apparently, of Shirilla the Killer, and she served time on drug charges. She dated her briefly while both of them were incarcerated. She's since been released. She said the 21-year-old shared the moniker early in conversations that they had with each other and was laughing as she told her fellow inmates had given her that nickname. Now, her ex-girlfriend said they started talking. Makenzie told her she was Shirilla the Killer, saying that's what her bunkmates called her, and Makenzie would start to laugh as she told her that. Shirilla, who was 17 at the time of her crime, is currently serving 2 concurrent sentences of 15 years to life after her 2023 conviction for intentionally crashing into a building at more than 100 miles per hour and, of course, killing her boyfriend, Dominique Russo, and their mutual friend, Davion Flanagan, 19 and 20. Prosecutors described the crash as a deliberate murder-suicide attempt stemming from relationship issues, and Topping described Shirilla as carrying herself with confidence in prison, almost arrogant demeanor behind bars, and she likened her to Regina George, who is a character from Mean Girls. I've never seen Mean Girls.
You've never seen Mean Girls?
No.
Oh my God, you're missing out.
And she said the killer showed little remorse during their time together. The revelations had surfaced amid renewed public scrutiny following the release of the Netflix documentary I just mentioned called The Crash. And she's going to remain housed at the Ohio Reformatory for Women and will not be eligible for parole until 2037.
I don't know
There you go.
Yeah, I don't know what more we expect from her. She makes poor decisions. She's killed 2 people, and now she's laughing about her nickname.
Yeah, and it was interesting. You know, as I said, I did a full podcast on this, but it was interesting. A lot of the things that she's doing in prison, she's coming out saying she wants Kim Kardashian to represent her in court. Hold your breath on that one.
Yeah.
Although you never know with Kim K. She might. She might. She's come out in defense of a few people that raised an eyebrow to me.
Yeah, but she couldn't pass the bar, so she can't defend. Yeah. She can't represent
Has she
her.
since passed it? I don't know.
I don't know. But this is so tacky. I don't know. Tacky is probably not the right word, but this is very indicative of the mindset of a lot of people that go in and they're incarcerated. They feel like their claim to fame is their crime. And obviously they're doing a Netflix documentary on her, so she's feeling pretty good about herself that she gets to be the focus of a Netflix documentary. Meanwhile, 2 boys are dead, two guys, whatever, 2 men are dead. And very selfish. It seems like an extremely selfish person behind all of that. So I actually have not watched the documentary. I need to go watch it. You told me to, so.
It's pretty good.
Maybe
I mean, it's interesting.
Yeah.
Sad story for obviously the families of the ones that were killed, but it's an interesting documentary. Make you think if you're a true crime person. And
imagine if you were the family of those dead and you're getting to see her get on her Netflix and run her mouth and people are writing articles about it.
Well, they were on that documentary, all those families. So.
Well, I need to shut up then and I'll go watch it.
Yeah.
All right, let's go right here in our backyard in Baton Rouge. A 26-year-old Baton Rouge man who was already free on bond in 2 pending cases is now facing new felony charges after authorities say that he tricked a woman that he already knew into coming to his mother's house, where he trapped her inside by locking the doors, repeatedly punched her in the face, and then sexually assaulted her. Devon Tyler was arrested and booked into the East Baton Rouge Parish Prison on charges of second-degree rape, false imprisonment, simple robbery, battery, and theft. So the alleged assault happened at a residence that Tyler shares with his mother. Tyler contacted the victim and then claimed that he had some of her belongings, which prompted her to pick him up after work and then drive to the house. But once they got inside, Tyler allegedly locked the front doors deadbolt. Now, here's the thing. Everyone's like, well, why don't you just unlock the door? She couldn't, because this was a lock that only he possessed the key for. He then led her to his bedroom, where he locked that door as well. And when she refused his demand for sex, he forcibly removed her clothing, punched her multiple times in the face, and then went on to rape her. He also took her cell phone and her car keys during the attack. So she's completely immobilized, while all of this is happening. But Tyler briefly left the bedroom to get a towel after he noticed that her nose was bleeding. Well, the victim tried to run away but was unable to open the front door. So Tyler's mother, who was home while all of this was going on, she then tried to persuade her son to release the woman. At one point, Tyler allegedly grabbed the victim in a bear hug and tried to drag her back toward his bedroom. Well, later, when his mother told him, look, police cars are passing by the house, Tyler unlocked the front door. The victim ran to her vehicle, but Tyler followed her outside and tried to enter the car, but he couldn't get in the car. So then he stood behind it to block her escape. I cannot tell you how quickly he would have become a speed bump if that would have been me in that car. But she was able to back up enough to drive away and immediately reported the incident to police. Now, Tyler had a criminal history that dated back more than a decade. As a teenager, he was charged as an adult in connection with an armed robbery and a murder case in 2015. He has prior convictions for drug possession and illegal firearm possessions. And he was out on bond in at least 2 other cases, one from 2022 and the other from 2025, when this latest alleged assault occurred. So following his arrest, a judge placed a hold on Tyler to prevent his release from custody on the earlier bonds. That's good. And so he remains and is presumed innocent until he is proven guilty.
Yeah, I love how you included that last part.
Yeah.
It doesn't sound, I think it's going to be a short stint before he's proven guilty, but a couple of problems with this. Number one, here we are again. This guy, armed robbery and murder charges, firearm possession. We got to start holding these violent offenders accountable. And, the federal system has really done a good job, unlike the state mandated system, when it comes to convictions. And I know in this case, some of these charges are still pending, but the conviction thing is what gets me. You get convicted of something in state court, and the state charges, maybe it's a murder charge and you're sentenced to 30 years, let's say, and you end up serving 12 and you end up getting out on parole. Okay, a case like this, if it's a federal case, you're going to serve, there is no parole. You serve 85% of your sentence, period. And then if you're good the whole time, up to 85%, you can get released. I think they ought to look at doing that from a state level. Let's do away with parole altogether and say, hey, you're going to serve 85% of your sentence. If you don't give us any problems at the end of 85% of your sentence, we'll let you out. And that's it. No more parole. No more, chances to get out and redo this stuff and see how quick these kids tighten up then. Because this is ridiculous with the violent offenders getting slaps on the wrist over and over and over again. Again, not a Louisiana only issue. I'm sure it's a national issue.
You want to talk about out of control? You're at your house with your mother. You're willing to kidnap.
Yeah. What's that say about your mother?
With your mother there, I bet she's afraid of him. I really do. I bet that she is afraid of him. But if I was this woman, okay, and this happened to me, and then I found out that he's already got a murder, charge under his belt, armed robbery, and all of these things, my jaw would hit the floor. She could have lost her life. Mm-hmm. And I'm not trying to say, I'm not pointing blame on anybody but him right now. But I am saying that I think you're right. We have got to go back to the drawing board here. There is no reason that anybody should be out after these types of charges and able to do these things over and over and over again. I understand they're pending charges. I get that. But still, they're violent. And
there's case after case where these guys get convicted and they get released extremely early and they recommit again. The recidivism rate is ridiculous on these crimes. And so you got to start holding these guys accountable, man. You screw up like that, you go kill somebody or rape somebody, you're going to serve the vast majority of your sentence. Take the parole away.
Done.
That's what I would do.
Done. It makes me kind of equate to the fact that we do suspensions like at school and the kids know that they get to go home for 3 days and that's their punishment.
Yeah.
Oh, wow, I don't have to sit in class for 3 days. It doesn't work. We've got to do something that it's got to be. I know people don't like the word punitive, but it's got to be punitive in some way. They have got to realize, or they've got to at least feel like the punishment is way worse than the crime that they have committed. If not, of course they're going to continue to commit.
Well, and you would think that's what prison would do. But the mindset is all their friends are in prison, so they don't mind going to prison. Prison's a hangout for them. You got to make it tougher on these guys and gals, and that's my opinion.
The problem is we're looking at it from the standard of people who don't go to prison or jail, and we're thinking about how horrible it would be. When you have people that are revolving door, they're in and out of a revolving door, this ain't nothing but a thing.
It's 3 hots and a cot, man, and all my boys are in there. Yeah. So, it's totally different mindset.
Ridiculous.
Let's go to Wisconsin, and look, I'm going to tell you a pretty wild story here. 75-year-old man, mind you, calmly warns his 2 longtime hunting companions, quote, "I hope you'll excuse me if I have to kill you guys." And he was very polite about
that is a very polite
that, and that's a direct quote. He then pulled a handgun and opened fire inside of a detached garage where the 3 of them were drinking whiskey and talking about deer hunting. Brent Hoffman gets charged with first-degree homicide and attempted first-degree homicide in the shooting that killed 67-year-old Rick Roundy. And a second man, identified in court records only as victim number 2, he would escape unharmed after fleeing and later shooting Hoffman in self-defense through a glass door, causing severe cuts to the suspect's face. According to the criminal complaint, the 3 men, who had known each other for more than a decade through neighboring hunting properties, were gathered in the garage with no prior arguments or issues with Hoffman. That, according to victim number 2, but he did describe Hoffman as, quote, a bit weird and a, quote, hermit sort of dude. And he said that suddenly this guy just makes a pretty chilling remark, talking about killing them, and begins shooting. Roundy was struck and died on the scene. Victim number 2 locked himself in a nearby building, armed himself with a .22 caliber rifle, and called 911 while Hoffman starts pursuing him. Now, Hoffman was heavily intoxicated. He was taken into custody without further resistance, and he allegedly told the responding deputy, quote, "Thank you, I love you," after asking why he had been shot. Hoffman pleaded not guilty to the charges during a court appearance in county court, and he remains inside that county jail on a $1 million cash bond. Both charges carry enhanced penalties because the victims, these were all elderly people, y'all, 67, 75. But because of that, it enhanced those charges, and obviously he's facing life in prison if convicted. And I mean, you know, whiskey, large amounts, 75-year-old man can't handle it.
You know, I know we all act different whenever we're intoxicated, but like I get happy. I want to dance. I do not want to pull out a gun and shoot my friends.
Well,
and it's odd.
Depends on what you're drinking, KJ.
I guess it
when
does.
you're drinking the whiskey, you know, the Indians called that fire water. That's what they called whiskey. Mm-hmm.
Really?
Yeah, and it made them mean.
It is
if
fire water.
If you have Indian blood in you and you drink whiskey, you get mean as shit.
Allegedly.
That's a fact. I know people.
Look, my people are Irish, and we like to cheer and drink our beer. But yeah, this is so odd. You know, it's not even like there was an argument leading up to it. It's not like it's like 3 podnas sitting around. I mean, this is how I grew up. You know, people at the hunting camp drinking whiskey, and my dad would always say, "Let's come over, drink some whiskey. We'll put some dead shit on the pit, and we'll tell some lies." You know, it's supposed to be a good time. You kick back and you're eating and you're hanging out. What the hell, man?
Yeah,
out of nowhere.
75 years old, your whole life.
And the picture of his injuries, I don't understand. Did you? I mean, I know you looked at it, but like, it almost looks like a burn. Yeah. It doesn't look like glass shatter. It looks like he's got a raccoon, but it's like pink burns.
Yeah,
around
it's pretty
his
crazy,
face.
and you'll see it if you're watching the Patreon. But yeah, it almost looks like a red mask on his face.
Yeah.
I guess that's where maybe he was treated for the glass prior to
maybe
taking
cleaning
that picture
it out or something
and cause those cuts. I don't know.
But okay, and then you plead not guilty. Okay, fam. Like, what are you possibly going to say? Oh, I was intoxicated. Well, that's not an excuse. I mean,
well, you're always going to plead. You got nothing to lose. When you plead guilty and get life in prison, of course you're going to plead not guilty.
I know, but I'm just saying, man, own up to this. Come on, dude. You murdered somebody. You're
not going to own up to life
Jim
in
Beam
prison.
made me do it.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Fire water.
Yeah, fire water.
Get you every time.
All right, let's go to Phoenix, Arizona. And this one is going to give you a level of discomfort. It should give you a level, I guess, of discomfort that's out the box. So this 31-year-old guy has been charged with 4 counts of sexual conduct with a dead body after authorities say he broke into the Maricopa County office of the medical examiner and had sexual contact with 4 corpses. Fenris Liu was arrested on Wednesday morning, May 21st, after Maricopa County Sheriff's Office deputies responded to a reported burglary at the facility, which is in downtown Phoenix. This was about 1:30 in the morning. And according to law enforcement, security footage captured Liu using a crowbar to gain entry. Once inside, and this is so horrible. Once inside, he allegedly broke the seal on 11 body bags and had sexual contact with 4 of the bodies, all male, by the way, before he was located during a search of the building and taken into custody on site. Liu faces 1 count of burglary, 4 counts of sexual conduct with a dead person, which, by the way, is just wild. We have that law. Like, this has happened before. Yeah, that's why we have the law.
That's right.
1 count of criminal damage, 1 count of escape, and 1 count of possession of burglary tools. His bond was set at $500,000, and a preliminary hearing is scheduled for May 29th. Court records in the case have been sealed. Now, the Maricopa County Medical Examiner's Office did confirm 11 bodies were tampered with during the incident. Officials said the break-in has disrupted ongoing autopsies and potential organ donations, forcing them to notify families of the deceased and review evidence. The spokesperson for the sheriff's office said the investigation is still active, and the authorities are working to determine how Liu accessed the secure facility and whether additional charges may be filed. And there's been no further details about Liu's background or a possible possible motive at this time?
I mean, so obviously so many things wrong with this story, but something that surprised me, you know, and maybe I just am unaware of this, but I always have assumed that when you have bodies of loved ones at a facility, you would think someone would be there 24/7. In this case, the guy had to break in with a crowbar and get in there, which tells me it was closed, quote unquote.
Yeah.
No one was there at the time. And that to me is disgusting because these things can happen. You would never think anybody would do anything as sick as this. But even, I mean, who knows? That should be like a place that it's a law that you have a guard there 24/7. I couldn't believe that someone wasn't there the whole time, but maybe that's more common than I think.
Yeah, I don't know. I never guess I thought about that. It's a secure facility. I don't know how he got beyond the perimeter to be able to even get. I mean, he had to work at this. What
He
really
used a crowbar and just open the door.
What really upsets me though, even further about this is now. Let's say that these bodies were in the midst of like a criminal investigation, that something happened to these people. That case is now completely and totally obliterated.
Right.
Because any defense attorney would say, oh no, my client didn't do that. You know, this is unconscionable. And then to know that, God forbid, your child or your dad or your, you know, whoever is laying there, and that should be something of the utmost respect. And I know we know this, right? But to think that someone thought so little that they would break the body bag and then sexually assault a deceased body, this is disgusting on so many levels. And then to say that it disrupted ongoing autopsies and potential organ donations too. The organ donation, I'm assuming here, is probably going to be like cadaver, like they can take, you know, ligaments and things like that. Well, now, if that's all contaminated, you've now taken away more people's ability to be life changing, you know, for the better.
Yeah.
Like this has a very large reaching effect.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. And obviously, it goes without saying, I would say this guy never, ever needs to be walking amongst the free.
No.
Ever.
No.
People that do shit like that need to be locked up in jail for the rest of their lives or mental facility or something. Never again does this guy need to be free. That needs to be a hard line in the sand. You do shit like that, you don't ever need to be allowed out of prison. Or a mental facility or whatever.
He legit was walking around and thought, you know what? I want to go have sex with dead bodies. Let me get my crowbar.
Fuck that.
God bless.
It's disgusting. All right, let's go. Let's lighten it up a little bit. And we're going to take a ride on the true crime time machine.
Boopy-doopy-doopy-doopy-doopy-doo.
And we're going to go to May 28th of 1998. And I say lighten it up a little bit. This is kind of a sad story, but anything lightens up that story we just covered. So on the night of May 28th, 1998, America woke up to the devastating news that beloved comedian and actor Phil Hartman, who was obviously very popular on Saturday Night Live. He was also the voice of Troy McClure and Lionel Hutz on The Simpsons. A lot of people don't remember that, but he was also a star of news radio. He had been murdered in his sleep by his own wife. So just after 3 a.m., Bryn Hartman, who was 41, walked into the bedroom of the couple's hillside home in Encino, and she shot her 49-year-old husband 3 times, once in the head, twice in the side while he slept. She then drove to the home of a friend, confessed what she had done, returned to the house, and there she shot herself with a single gunshot wound to the head while still on the phone with 911. The couple's 2 young daughters, Sean and Virgin, were asleep in the house. They were 9 and 6 at the time, and thank God they were unharmed. Now, friends and family later described a marriage that had been increasingly volatile. Bryn was a former model and aspiring actress. She had struggled for years, apparently, with cocaine addiction and alcohol abuse and what a lot of people said were severe mood swings. She had been in and out of rehab and was taking the antidepressant Zoloft at the time of the tragedy. On the night of the killing, she reportedly used cocaine and alcohol before the fatal confrontation. Now, Phil Hartman, who had left SNL the year before to focus on his friends and family and voice work, was widely considered one of the kindest and most professional people in Hollywood. Colleagues remembered him as the steady, low-drama presence who could make anyone laugh. And, of course, this tragedy, when it came out, it pretty much sent shockwaves through the entertainment world. I distinctly remember Joe Rogan being very torn up about this. Of course, he was a co-star on News Radio with Phil Hartman. And today, 28 days later, Phil Hartman is still remembered, thankfully not for how he died, but the laughter that he gave just millions of people. His children were raised by Hartman's brother and have largely stayed out of the spotlight, and the Encino home where the tragedy occurred was later sold and remains a quiet residential property. And before I get your comments, KJ, I would ask you, my favorite Phil Hartman character of all time is one called Unfrozen Caveman Lawyer. This was very popular on Saturday Night Live. As a matter of fact, I'm going to play a clip real quick.
100,000 years ago, a caveman was out hunting on the frozen wastes when he slipped and fell into a crevasse. In 1988, he was discovered by some scientists and thawed out. He then went to law school and became Unfrozen Caveman Lawyer.
He used to be a caveman, but now he's a lawyer. Unfrozen Caveman Lawyer.
Mr. Keyrock, are you ready to give your summation?
It's just Keyrock, Your Honor, and yes, I'm ready. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I'm just a caveman. I fell in some ice and later got thawed out by some of your scientists. Your world frightens and confuses me. Sometimes the honking horns of your traffic make me want to get out of my BMW and run off into the hills or whatever. Sometimes when I get a message on my fax machine, I wonder, did little demons get inside and type it? I don't know.
All right, KJ, what's your favorite?
So I actually, I don't know that I can name like a direct favorite because I was actually really young whenever, what year was that again? That was
SNL. He was, I don't know the exact year.
Yeah,
he was
on
it a while.
But when he was killed, it was...
1998.
Yeah, 98. So, I mean, I was born in 84, so I wasn't that old. So I can't tell you a specific favorite.
Yeah, you were like 14 or 15.
No.
Yeah, if you were born in 84.
84 to 94 is 10.
Uh-huh.
And it
98 would be 14.
Oh, shit. Sorry, y'all. I don't do math, but I have a good personality. Anyway, yeah, but I just remember being young, watching it on Saturday Night Live. And I do know this. I vividly remember my mom, because I've always been a jokester. I love laughing. And Saturday Night Live was one of my favorite shows when I was a kid. And I do remember my mom breaking the news to me that Phil Hartman had been killed. I know that's weird, but I remember liking him a lot. And when my mom told me, I think that might have been one of my very first, my very first people I remember being killed. Like as a kid, I remember that being that and Princess Diana were the two that actually stick out in my mind. I know that's odd, but it's true. And that was a loss. You know, he seemed like a good guy wrapped up in a woman that he loved, but she had hella problems. She
had obviously major issues, and everybody that ever knew Phil Hartman just said he was the greatest guy ever. And I mean, and hilarious.
I love how they say she was taking Zoloft. Okay, well, what about the cocaine and the alcohol? Are we just gonna? We always blaming Zoloft, man.
Yeah,
I would argue that Coke sometimes gets you a little ramped up too.
Yeah, well, yeah.
I guess I don't know.
Antidepressants, they have found that they cause a lot of issues as well.
I know, but I'm more inclined to think that cocaine and alcohol will get you wilding over the Zoloft. But I could be wrong. Everyone can jump on me about that comment. Okay. We're going to go to Saratoga Springs, Utah. And this is a mother's worst nightmare, like I said earlier. But a 46-year-old Saratoga Springs man is facing felony charges after authorities say that he picked up his 2 young sons for a scheduled visitation, failed to return them, and then fled across the U.S.-Mexico border in what investigators believe was a premeditated parental abduction. Dane Richmond is accused of abducting 22-month-old Will Thomas Richmond and 10-month-old Wesley Dane Richmond on May 16th. The boy's mother, who lives in Washington State, reported them missing after Richmond missed a court-ordered custody exchange and scheduled deposition. An Amber Alert was issued. That was late on Saturday, May 23rd, and it expanded statewide by Sunday morning of the 24th. And the warning was that the children were in, quote, imminent danger of serious bodily harm or death. Police say cell phone data placed his black 2025 Toyota Camry near the Mexican border. That was around 4 p.m. on the 19th. And the vehicle crossed into the Mexico or into Mexico later that day. They also had surveillance footage that showed the car being serviced in Carlsbad, California, just days earlier. So investigators say that Richmond had been planning the disappearance for days or weeks. And the reason they say this is because he abruptly quit his job on May 11th, saying, look, I'm having troubles with this ongoing custody battle I'm in. And court documents noted that he was facing severe financial stress. This included an upside-down mortgage and recent home equity borrowing. He had sold all of his personal possessions, and he appeared to have abandoned his home, which was headed for foreclosure anyway. But the neighbors described him as someone who was comfortable living off the grid and said that he owned a satellite phone that he used. Richmond's boss told police he had been a very reliable employee, but became less reliable and more erratic in the months leading up to this incident. And the Amber Alert highlighted concerns that Richmond was seriously depressed. He is charged with 2 counts of custodial interference, which is third-degree felonies. A warrant was issued Sunday night, and authorities are now working to distribute this alert throughout Mexico. And if you're looking at our screen, we do have that Amber Alert up for you to see them.
Very disturbing case, and obviously a very messy divorce. And it made me wonder, does this guy not even stop to think about what this does to his kids?
No, not at all.
Taking them from, you're taking them from their mother. That's not a consideration. You get so emotionally wrapped up in these divorces. I've never been through a divorce, but it don't look like fun. And you steal your kids. You steal your kids and you take them to Mexico. And this guy's still on the loose as of this recording with these children. Number one, I hope nothing happens to these children, because obviously he's going out of his mind mentally to even do that. But horrific story. He's
on a clear spiral. I think that's the most terrifying part here.
Right.
If he was just being a jerk and was like, I'm taking the kids, I would almost feel better about it, because he's just being a jerk. But this looks like a mental decline, a spiral. This looks like a man who's desperate. He has no money. He has no resources. And now he's got 2 kids to care for. Obviously, those don't go hand in hand. My prayers are with the children, but the children's mother. And I'm hoping and praying that they find these babies sooner than later and in whole condition,
Yeah. All right. So we've had some really heavy stories today. So I don't like to leave it with heavy stories. So we're going to lighten it up a little bit in here. And I'm going to take you to Scotts Bluff, Arizona. And I'm going to tell you about police, because they received a call from reports of gunfire at a local convenience store. This was this past Saturday around noon. You might be saying, well, how does that lighten it up, Jim? You're about to talk about a shooter at a convenience store. Well, it was who the shooter turned out to be. The shooter turned out to be something far more unexpected. It was a dog.
Dog.
Yes. So,
like D-O-G.
Like D-O-G. Officers from the Scott Bluff Police Department, they respond to what's known as the shortstop gas station and convenience store after receiving a call about a possible shooting. And what they found was a pickup truck with a visible blast, damage to one of its doors, and a woman who had been struck in the arm by a shotgun pellet. So according to investigators, the truck's owner pulled up to the store, stepped inside the store, and they had a loaded shotgun with a live round in the chamber inside the vehicle. They also had a dog in the back seat.
Do we know what kind of dog?
An Australian Shepherd.
Okay.
So the Australian Shepherd moved from one side of the back seat to the other and accidentally stepped on the trigger of the firearm. The firearm, obviously, the shotgun went off and the shot blasted through the passenger side door panel. Now, at that exact moment, a woman was stopped at a nearby traffic light with her arm resting outside her car window, and a pellet, just one pellet from that shotgun shell, struck her in the upper right arm. Her injury was not life-threatening, and a family member drove her to the hospital for treatment. Now, the incident, of course, remains under investigation, and police did note that it's illegal in Nebraska to transport a loaded shotgun in a vehicle. It's a violation that carries fines starting at just $50. It's a very small misdemeanor. Now, no charges have publicly been announced against the truck driver at this time or the dog. And I added that part. The unusual case has obviously caused a lot of attention online and chatter. Many people calling it, and I would have to agree with this, the strangest accidental shooting on record. While the woman is expected to fully recover, it does kind of raise a question of having a loaded firearm in your vehicle unsecured, even around man's best friend. But a dog, for the first time I've ever covered a story of a dog actually shooting a gun.
Look, you raise your dogs to be good pets, but you can't control what they do, Jim. Sometimes they just go out on their own. But look, if I was ever shot by a dog, I'm not kidding you, I would not be upset as long as I survived it. I would say, you know what, buddy?
I'd be upset at the owner. I wouldn't be upset at the dog.
I would say you're the goodest boy. You did not know.
Yeah.
Can you imagine though that what a great party trick story to have in your back pocket whenever you're doing an icebreaker or something at work.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got shot by a dog. Yeah, that's crazy.
Or
that's
introducing
wild.
people to your dog and telling, he once was charged with attempted murder for shooting somebody.
Well, I don't know if it'd be murder, but it'd be a negligent.
Well, you shoot somebody
issue.
that's attempted murder?
Well, not the person.
What?
The person didn't shoot her?
Well, no kidding. The dog did.
I know.
I said you'd introduce the dog and say the dog was charged with attempted murder.
I missed it.
Holy smokes.
They call her Shirilla the killer.
I think Kelly's been drinking fire water this morning.
I just got the regular.
Zoloft and cocaine, something.
Don't start rumors. No, that's one for the books right there. I think that's pretty crazy. All right. Speaking of cocaine, we're going to do our segment of Foolish Felons.
Right.
So foolish. All right. And this is actually going to be in London, but it involves Kim Kardashian. So UK authorities have sentenced a Polish truck driver to more than 13 years in prison after discovering nearly $9.3 million worth of booger sugar hidden in a legitimate commercial shipment of Kim Kardashian's popular Skims shapewear and underwear line. Jacob, and I have to tell you how he spells his name, J-K-U-B. Jacob.
It's kind of cool.
Jacob Jan Konkel. Jacob Jan Konkel, 40, was pulled over by border enforcement officials after his truck arrived by ferry from the Netherlands. The truck was loaded with 28 pallets of authentic Skims clothing and underwear, but officers grew suspicious of the driver's behavior, and so they x-rayed the vehicle, uncovering a specially adapted hidden compartment. It was built right into the rear trailer, into the doors. Inside, investigators found 90 tightly wrapped 1 kilo packages of cocaine. The UK National Crime Agency estimated the street value at approximately $9.3 to $9.4 million. Konkel initially denied any knowledge of the drugs. Jim, he didn't know. He had no idea he had almost $10 million in cocaine in his truck. But he later pled guilty to smuggling charges. Prosecutors said that he had stopped during his travel to collect the cocaine and was paid. How much do you think it's worth to... I know you know the answer, but what do you think? What would it cost you, Jim, if you were going to transport $10 million in cocaine? What do you think your payment should be?
I don't know, maybe $10,000.
I'd be rolling percentage. I'd say I want 15% cut. I'm taking all the risk. Mm-hmm. Well, no, this cat was willing to do it for $5,243 to be specific.
Okay.
For transporting the drugs, but he got 13 years and 6 months in prison. Bruh. $5,000 for 13 years, not worth it. Now, NCA emphasized that neither Skims nor the legitimate clothing importer or exporter had any connection to the smuggling attempt, and the brand has publicly stated it had no knowledge whatsoever of the operation. Skims is a highly popular shapewear, loungewear, and intimates brand co-founded by Kim Kardashian in 2019 and valued at $5 billion.
Why are you reading that so weird?
Because I feel like that's how they wrote it. Like, we don't care what it's worth. We want you to know that the butt of the shapewear was stuffed with cocaine.
It's huge.
What,
Actually,
her butt
I
or
mean,
the-
well, that too. But if you're going to, first of all, if you're going to hide the yayo, I guess Kim Kardashian branded Spanx would be the place you would want to hide the freaking cocaine. But, you know, you mentioned that company being worth $5 billion, and that's actually pretty freaking impressive, man. And people can say what they want about Kim Kardashian, but that chick is all about the business.
And it all
You hear
started with
me?
a sex tape.
It all started with a sex tape, and she has launched that into fuck you money,
Yeah.
to say the least. And I'll tell you what, I don't know what to say about the story except for you're right. I mean, $5,000, whatever he got paid to transport that. Now, he may not have known.
He knew.
He may not have known.
He had a
that.
specialty compartment,
He
and he
just
took
didn't ask questions,
He took
man.
5 G's, bro. He made a stop and took 5
Don't
G's.
ask questions. He may have known it was something illegal, but didn't know it was cocaine.
If
He
I'm
may
gonna
have thought it was weed.
If I'm going to spend 13 years in prison, I better damn sure get more than $5,000.
Yeah,
I'm gonna be pissed.
I agree 100% with that. But you know, he's gonna want to spend his time in prison because guess what? Somebody's missing $9.3 million worth of cocaine.
Yep.
And they gonna kill his ass if he ever gets out of prison. So he's probably like, please lock me up.
Look, he might want to
Ain't
put
no
on
doubt
some of
about
these
that. People don't
Skims.
think about that, but when they get busted and they're these runners like this, you owe someone $9.3 million.
That's right.
Because
And-
your whole job was not to get caught.
Yeah, you're supposed to be smuggling it, not to look. He's going to need to put on some Skims and change his appearance.
Skims.
You know, but look, for Kim's sake, I mean, any publicity is publicity, and so I'm sure she's like all over this.
Well, she's a master of that. There's no doubt about it.
No.
$5 billion for that company, an underwear company.
I am in
A
the wrong
Spanx company.
business. I'm in the wrong business, Jim.
I mean, that's legit. That's a lot of money. Anyway.
I hear you.
All right, that's all we got for today on our on Crime Wire Weekly. If you're a member of either one of our Patreons, of course, we're going to go right into overtime. Today, we're going to be giving you another utterly unrelated story that you'll find pretty interesting. We're going to tell you about a father who pulled a gun on a school bus driver, a Georgia teacher accused of closet sex, now has new charges added, no surprise there, and a Michigan man who killed another over a Facebook marketplace argument has been arrested. And the argument itself is just mind-blowing, at least to me. So if you're a member of those Patreon sites, you can check us out on Overtime. Otherwise, until next time, I'm Jim Chapman.
And I'm Kelly Jennings.
And we're your host of Crime
Wire
Weekly.